to break into greater kingdom, turn thy foes. Fear not to be nothing, that thou mayst be all. Don't have that fear. That vital is there still in you. Don't be afraid of it. Be nothing, be shunya, zero, cipher, that all may be. When you have emptied out yourself fully, then only all can come and enter into it. Fear not to be nothing, that thou mayst be all. Ascend to the emptiness of the Supreme. Emptiness of the Supreme. That is the whole thrust. In other words, we are really moving towards nirvana. Emptiness of the nothing. That all in thee may reach its absolute. So, that is the function of nirvana. Nirvana for what? Not for the sake of nirvana alone. That through nirvana, whatever is there becomes its absolute. You have certain quality. In other words, you have nothing which is of the lower thing. It has to become absolute. First empty out what is ignorant, throw it out, and then let that become absolute. Then, so the function, the role of nirvana is that all may reach its absolute. So you have to throw it. Ascend to the emptiness of the Supreme, that all in thee may reach its absolute. Accept to be small and human on your, protect your soul. Whatever you have gained, remain small. Interrupting thy newborn divinity. So you see, she has to protect that thing. Something has already taken birth here. Protect it, little child, you see. That man may find his utter self in God. If for thy own sake only thou hast come, an immortal spirit in the mortal world. Who is Savitri? Savitri, immortal spirit in the mortal world. Savitri is the immortal spirit in the mortal world. Now this is the description, Vedic phrase rather, but applied to Savitri. Savitri is the immortal spirit in the mortal world. The Vedas constantly speak of the immortal in the mortal for Agni. Agni, the divine fire, is the immortal in the mortal. The psychic fire. He is the immortal in the mortal. So that is now what is applied to Savitri. She is the immortal spirit in the mortal world. She has condescended to pass the portals of the birth. That is the death. She, immortal spirit, has agreed to go to the doors of death. To found thy, for what purpose? To found thy luminous kingdom in God's dark. You have come for that purpose, my dear Savitri. That is your function, that is your mission, that is your job, that is your assigned task for you. To found thy luminous kingdom in God's dark, in the inconscious realm, one shining star. That is what you are. One door into ignorance opened upon light. Why hast thou any need to come at all? If it is not for that purpose, you have no business to come here at all. You are yourself divine. You are yourself immortal spirit. You don't need to gain anything for yourself. Not at all. It is not for yourself. You have come here not for yourself. You have come like a star in the inconscient night to give light to inconscience. To give light to inconscience. Why hast thou any need? She has no need at all. The Divine Mother comes here for the sake of her children, to take care of them. Thou hast come down into a struggling world to aid a blind and suffering mortal race. So, this is what we are, blind and suffering. Big commentary on the human race. It's a big commentary. This is what we are. A blind and suffering mortal race, you see. And the voice herself is saying that these creatures, blind and suffering, they don't see, they don't have eyes to see at all anything, and they keep on suffering. To open to light the eye that could not see, to bring down bliss into the heart of grief, to make thy life a bridge betwixt earth and heaven. You see, this phrase is appearing now for the third time here, earth and heaven, you see. If thou would save the toiling universe, the vast universal suffering, feel as thine, thou must bear the sorrow that thou claims to heal. You have come here to heal the sorrow. Unless you bear the sorrow, you can't heal the sorrow. The Divine Mother comes here, accept the sorrow and suffering. Thou must bear the sorrow that thou claims to heal. The day bringer must walk in darkest night. Does the Divine Mother suffer when she takes the human birth? That was the question asked to the Mother. On, I think, 9th December 1951, you see, if I remember rightly. Does the Divine suffer? Yeah, 9th December 1953. 9th December 1953. Mother, suffering comes from ignorance and pain. She was asked. Suffering comes from ignorance and pain. But what is the nature of the suffering and pain the Divine Mother feels? Is she subject to ignorance? That she feels pain? The question is, suffering comes from ignorance and pain. So if she feels the pain, it means she is ignorant. The suffering and pain the Divine Mother feels for her children, the Divine Mother in Savitri. It is because she participates in their nature. The Mother in Savitri, she participates in their nature. It does not mean that she is ignorant. She participates in their nature with full knowledge, with full understanding, with full commitment. It is because she participates in their nature. She has descended upon earth to participate in their nature. Because if she did not participate in their nature, she could not lead them farther. If thou save the toiling universe, the vast universal suffering, feel as thine, vast universal suffering is thine. Thou must bear the sorrow that thou claims to heal. If she remained in her supreme consciousness, where there is no suffering, in the supreme knowledge and consciousness, she could not have any contact with human beings. And it is for this that she is obliged to take on the human consciousness and form. Obliged, if she wants to make thy life a bridge betwixt earth and heaven. If thou would save the toiling universe, the vast universal suffering feel as thine. Thou must bear the sorrow that thou claims to heal. Thou must bear the sorrow. I don't know why he's saying that. That voice is saying that she is saying that. She has taken the human birth. She must bear the sorrow. Thou must bear. She cannot but. That thou claimest to heal. The day bringer must walk in darkest night. Well, actually, the most poignant description of this is crucifixion of Christ. Most poignant description of that. Unless you bear the sorrow, you cannot heal the sorrow. He who saved the world must share his pain. He, if he knows not grief, how shall he find grief's cure? That is what we have here, what the mother said also. See. Now see again poetry. You have such beautiful lines everywhere. The vast universal suffering, feel at thine, with crowded syllables. Thou must bear the sorrow that thou claims to heal. The day bringer must walk in darkest night. And here again you have got two absolutely monosyllabic lines. He who would save the world must bear its pain. Absolutely monosyllabic line. If he knows not grief, how shall he find grief's cure? See, the climax is achieved by this poetic excellence. The poetic excellence gives that climax to the whole description which I got here. We had earlier long polysyllabic lines here, and suddenly two lines absolutely monosyllabic. This could not have been achieved by any other technique with that force. The poetry is that, you see. If he who would save the world must share its pain. I mean, psychologically, in the occult content, you understand that necessity. But to bring that thing out in expression through poetic power is something which is very, very remarkable. Only a great poet can do that. If far he was above mortality's head, suddenly you can see the difference in quality of the poetry. If far he was above mortality's head, how shall the mortal reach that too high path? If one of theirs they see scale heaven's peaks, men then can hope to learn that Titan climb. But that is still doubtful whether man will really learn. Whether he will really learn, see. Grave doubt is there, see. If one of theirs, Savitri had done that thing, people had done, but how many are really awakened, see. Man then can hope. He is very careful also to say hope, you see. To learn that Titan climb, God must be born on earth and be as man. See again, this beautiful monosyllabic line. God must be born on earth and be as man. See, God must be born on earth and be as man. The rhythm. God must, it is tricky, long short. God must be born on earth and be as man. I am. So this is the first foot is a trochee, second and third feet, there I am. Fourth feet is a pyrrhic, short, and be as man again. See, the poetic rhythm goes along with the whole thing, you see. God must be born on earth and be as man. That man, being human, may grow even as God. I hope it will happen. It's a big claim, but the voice is saying, yes, it's possible, you see. He who saved the world must be one with the world. Again, absolutely monosyllabic line. He who saved the world must be one with the world. He who would save the world, third, must be one. It is an anapest. With the world, an anapest. You see, monosyllabic, but see, he who is a trochee, long, short, would save, I am, the world, again an I am, must be one with the world, short, long, you see. He who would save the world must be one with the world. It keeps on resonating. See, if you read into that, all suffering things contained in his heart's space, and bear the grief and joy of all that live. His soul must be wider than the universe. His soul must be wider than the universe. We already have that description in the early part of Savitri. Her love wider than universe. The whole world could take refuge in a single heart. The whole world could take refuge in a single heart.
But why does he use his man? And
Well, this is this.
talk to the woman?
Because he is talking of man as a general. God must be born on earth as man.
Yeah, but why talk to somebody?
Man means.
And always this man.
Well, that's the language. You can't help it because
Yeah, I know, but English, I know, but
he is a representative of humankind, of mental being.
In Arabic, the man, there is another word to say the general man.
Oh?
It's not female, it's not...
No, it's not man.
No. In Arabic, we have a word to say the general man.
Yes, general man, humanity.
No, not humanity. There is
Basically,
actually
man, he
another
stands
word.
for.
There is a word to say man, I mean not female, not man.
It is
Man,
not
the human
yeah.
being.
Yeah.
There is a word.
Yeah.
So it's answer to you, I mean.
This is basically
This
this is basically impersonal. You see,
yeah, but if the
You
boys
got-
would have said she, it would have been much more sense.
No.
you don't do. well, you can't help it. It's English. See, look. I mean, people make such a fuss of it because, see, for instance, you say, chairman is not allowed. Chairman. They say chairperson. But even in person, you have got son. See? You can't help it, you see. You can't help it, you see. That's the nature of life. Even in person,
Terminology.
even in woman, you have got man.
Not in German language. Not in
Well,
In German, you have like not at all. You have really different.
Another word for the man, general man, you haven't a word for that?
No.
Not really, no.
You use the same man,
Yeah.
yes.
Man is man, a woman.
In French also.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to speak about the general
Yeah, the
man,
Mensch. Yeah, in German it's
you
happening.
use the same
Ja,
word.
Monotone in German. Der Mensch und der Mann und die Frau ist es. Female is die Frau. And
see, man is here is impersonal. It is not referring to any specific. It is a kind. It is genesis. It is species. Man stands for species.
Yeah, but English language is.
Well, it's like that. You can't. It's like that. You can't help it. You see.
Not specific.
But I told you that man, you can't escape. Person, you say,
Man can
woman, you can't escape that. You can't escape that.
In Sanskrit, how is it in Sanskrit? Do you have
Sanskrit, no, Sanskrit, it is not like that. It is, yes, man, it's not neutral, it can be specified.
But you have man, woman, and do you have another word to say the two together as human beings?
No, you see, we got male, female both. Distinct. Purusha, Prakriti, Ishvara, Ishwari, Bhagavan, Bhagavati, you see, we have got.